If you went back in time, would you change anything? This video is dedicated to those who feel lost or unsure of their next step. I want you to know that you're not alone. Life isn't always straightforward, and I think that's okay. My name is Brian, and I'm a 22-year-old creator based in Houston, Texas. I just finished school and am now currently figuring out what to do with the rest of my life. For the past 2 years, I've worked in different corporate fields like consulting and banking, traveled the world, and made a ton of friends, all while making videos on the internet. Honestly, I can't quite say I have everything figured out. So before I start thinking about my next steps, I wanted to take a moment to reflect on the past 4 years. My freshman year of college hit me pretty hard. For one, I didn't exactly know what I wanted to do. It was kind of like a fast-track graduation story from high school you see in all the movies, but with one difference.
China has identified the cause of the mysterious new virus.
Coronavirus.
Countries around the world have now reported more than 1 million coronavirus cases.
Yep, who would have thought the world would experience a modern century pandemic that stole so many people's lives and dreams? At this point, I wanted to reset. I wanted to become the person I'd always believed I could be. The hero, the person who wins, the guy who gets the good ending. Someone who actually reaches their goals. So, in an attempt to create my ideal persona, I left my high school self behind. I started staying up later, studying more, reading, and trying to figure things out the best I could. But that was when I encountered my first problem. Like most high school graduates, I had no idea what career to pursue. When I thought about my parents, my interests didn't necessarily align. However, I still thought what they did was cool. My mom was a nurse and my dad was a consultant. When I think about my dad, he was someone that worked with purpose and passion. I wanted to do the same thing. It wasn't until a friend of mine gave me an out, had showed me different paths I could take in the future. As my first semester of college came to a close, I decided to take a chance. I learned how to network, I did interviews, and I scheduled calls. And after a while, I saw the fruits of my labor start to show. Yep, I landed my first internship. And for the first time in my life, it felt like I had accomplished a real goal. That I was actually somebody who could do anything if he put his mind to it. And things finally felt like they were moving in the right direction. My second year of college was the start. With my newfound sense of direction and success, I was ready to embrace the rest of the year with confidence. And with the pandemic fading away, students could finally start attending classes in person. So the start of my real college experience began. If there was one word that could describe how everything felt, I honestly couldn't tell you. The first half of my sophomore year brought a lot of change and experiences. I joined clubs, made a bunch of new friends, and found support systems I never really had growing up. My horizons expanded, and things were going in a good direction. Something I had to learn was to cherish the moments where you feel the best because they won't last forever. While I had a lot of growth going into the year, I developed a big ego because of my accomplishments. I made my career my personality, which rubbed people the wrong way. And at home, I was going through one of the most stressful moments of my life. My family got evicted, and I had 1 month to look for a new place. This situation stole a lot from me. My focus on school, my relationships with friends, and it felt like everything I did was pointless.
Why am I in charge of all of this? I don't understand.
But in that moment, I really had to dig deep and find pieces of myself that I might have stowed away. Growing up, I was a fairly creative person. I remember always running to my local library and finding as many comic books as possible, trying to replicate the art styles and throwing myself into these worlds. In those days, I considered myself an artist, and the one person who pushed me in that direction was my dad. I remember the days we would wait for a new Coldplay album to drop and binge watch the music videos, or waiting for sequels to our favorite films. I remember getting my first guitar and learning how music worked. And I remember the last piece of art he left me with. After my dad passed away, a huge piece of who I was gone. It wasn't until one day while scrolling YouTube, I came across a video. I don't know how to describe the emotions and the rush I felt when I watched this video, but it was something that unlocked a spark in myself. Somehow, this video about a guy who traveled the world planted a seed and a desire. I wanted to do the same thing and make videos about my life. And so it began. All it took was a week of research, a new purchased camera, and my excitement. I started creating, documenting as much as I could, and having fun with it all. At this time, the spring semester had just began, and I was getting back into art. And that all started with posting my first few videos online.
Do we go so far to find our place?
After a while of getting into my newfound hobby, I still felt like something was missing. It felt pretty weird to be that one guy in college making videos and not really doing it with anyone else. I felt alone and didn't really have a sense of community. But I didn't let that stop me, and so I started putting myself out there, sharing my stories with others on the internet and meeting as many people as possible. One of these conversations was with my friend Chris. Chris was someone I looked up to. He wanted to connect creatives, artists, and the light together and build a community. A community I didn't know at the time would play a pivotal role in my future. As my sophomore year came to an end, I moved with a sense of passion and was ready to head to New York City for my first internship. Living in New York was like a fresh start and a place where I think I really grew the most. I met my favorite creators and inspirations. I made a video that kind of went viral, and I felt like I was unstoppable. But around this time, I started to realize that maybe the corporate life wasn't for me. While things on the outside seemed pretty good, the reality was that the summer was hectic. I worked at my internship for most of the day, and in the evenings I edited for creators. But the thing that hurt the most was that I didn't feel any satisfaction from the career I worked towards and sought after so much. At that point, I realized my motivation behind my career was never honest. I wanted more, and I actually wanted to feel fulfilled. But soon opportunities arise. You know that community I mentioned earlier? Well, that community came during the summer, when I got an invitation to an event called Creator Camp. It was a 3-day adventure with 35 different artists, storytellers, and creators. And let's just say, it was amazing. This whole thing has been amazing. I felt like this was the first time I was with a group of people who had similar values, backgrounds, and understood me on a deeper level. My love for creating continued to grow, and I feel like this was one of the happiest moments in my life. And honestly, this was my version of a canon event. Going into my junior year, I had a lot of goals. A goal to find a job I really liked, a goal of wanting to be a creator, and a goal of just trying new things. Junior year was that year where people expect you to have your life figured out. Everyone's scrambling to get internships, climb the ladder in clubs, and prep for the next year. It honestly felt like a rat race, and I was already in it. I started recruiting for more jobs and once again landed a great opportunity. And I made videos. At least, I tried to. After experiencing so many cool things in the world of art, I felt a sudden pressure to have to make it. I wavered between the decision of wanting to work in corporate or becoming a creator. I had high tastes, but my palate wasn't ready. I lacked the skills to make that dream a reality. So I slowly replaced creating works of art and videos with things I had better skills at. As time went on, the gap between the creations of my videos increased, along with my embarrassment and fear of being judged. And after being inactive for so long, I felt separated from the world I loved so much. But I didn't give up. I knew I could always do more, and in that moment, I vowed to never let anything stop me from creating again. Whether it was a corporate job, my own anxiety and fears, I would always make something. So I dove headfirst into making more content. As I tried to better myself, I ventured deeper into my creative sphere, and I got more opportunities that I could never imagine. I traveled the world, made amazing friends, and worked with amazing brands. I felt like I was a part of something big. And for the first time, I knew who I was.
What's up, guys? I'm out here vlogging, going on a hike in Oregon.
My last year in college was a year of reflection. The first half of my senior year felt like I knew what I was doing. I put a lot of effort into my health, relationships, and my passions.
I love this school.
One of the greatest lessons I've come to learn is that life is very much like waves. There are going to be high and low tides. Throughout the past 4 years, I struggled to understand who I was, what I wanted to do, and where I would end up in the future. And a lot of these moments led to problems in my life and periods where I just felt stuck. But I've come to realize as long as you can figure out how to ride those waves, you'll do fine. And with a better mindset and lifestyle, I started to really take in the time I had left in college and cherish those moments more. And from a career perspective, I realized my life was never going to be concrete or clear-cut. My story is different from everyone else's, but the thing that makes it special is that it's mine. There is never an end-all be-all. I was never destined to become a banker or an accountant or even a videographer. My life was meant to hold all these things. And I'm glad I was able to go through all these experiences. And now as a college graduate, I feel like I have the opportunity to experience the world as the person I really am for the first time. You may be on a path in life you don't quite like. You may want to jump off that path and find something different. You may want to stay on the path and follow that track. And you actually might not have any direction at all. But just remember, whatever you decide, it'll be great as long as it's right for you. I've never really known what the future would look like exactly, but I've learned to be excited for whatever it may bring. So, what's next for you?
You're staying up all night, she woke you from your slumber. Hastily she comes to wrap you around her finger. A whole new world, you're living in a whole new world. Everything's green, built by machines, a lot to take away.
It's like we're crazy.
Discover nature,
It's like we're
gazing at
crazy.
stars by the side of a motorway. The city life, this is the life you want.
I just want to leave myself a message in the future. I want to see myself at least a year from now making content that I'm super proud of and confident in, and want to look back on in the future and just be wow, that's how far I've grown, and don't know what the future holds right now, but definitely want to keep doing this for sure.